we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
Like this, let's turn this shit down just ever so slightly. That's real fucking helpful. That's good. Fucking hell, bro. Fucking hell of. Alright, there we go. There we go. Alright, welcome to episode 85 of the Abuse Hour. There's some of you cats complaining that I short-dicked you on the last episode. So here we go. We're going to get a little bit more on this one. Yeah! Alright, yeah. Hey, so I'm on the way to the airport. Imagine that shit. But I wanted to throw a little bit of taste out because, as predicted, I'm going to pat myself on the back at least a little bit. These Israelis are jumping off good style, man. They cannot help themselves. And last 24 hours or so, as recording this, these Hebrews have sent a missile strike into Iran to kill one, what's this guy's name? Ismail Haniyeh, some such thing. And he's, I guess, Politburo chief of Hamas. So a senior Hamas guy, long and short. And these Iranians in response, well, if you don't remember, just a little while ago, these Israelis struck somebody, knocked down some Iranian dude, and Iranians were pissed about it. And just like last time, they've raised this, what is it, like red flag of vengeance over the, what is it, like Jam Karan Mosque or some sort of shit like that. I can't remember exactly what the name of it is. But anyway, it's what they do when they get really pissed off. It's like their war drums kind of a thing. Like, we're serious this time. We're going to fucking do something. And I guess what's interesting is, like, last time they killed some Iranian general type dude and they raised this flag. And before that, it was when they killed, I can't remember the guy's name, man, but it was when Trump was running the show and they killed that Iranian general. And every time, like, they get pissed off now, it's starting to look, you know, like you're starting to look kind of weak sauce. Like everybody, you know, there was, I guess, kind of an air of seriousness, I want to say, around these Iranians. But that's like twice now, you know. And the first time they did it when Donald Trump hit some, you know, ordered some hit that killed Soleimani. That was the guy's name, General Soleimani. And it was like, oh, we're really fucking pissed. And oh my God, Iranians are raising the red flag of vengeance over the fucking, whatever it is, starts with a J, mosque. And holy shit, what are they going to do? And pretty much they didn't do anything. Didn't do a fucking thing. Basically just, you know, made a mean face and then back down. I don't know, you know, in fairness, I don't know if there's a deal behind closed doors where Trump is like, all right, man, all right, it was fucked up, but we're going to do this, this, and this for you, or we're going to let this or that fucking slide. I don't fucking know. But what I do know is that it's been two more times now. The Israelis fucked around with them again. And then it was like, oh man, what's Iran going to do? Oh, they got to do something. And then it was basically like bombed an empty fucking airfield or some kind of shit. See, we're serious, man. Don't fuck with us, bro. And now they've killed this guy, this Hamas leadership figure. And granted, this guy is not Iranian. And I think this was, I mean, I guess if I'm being honest, like when I heard this, I was like, dude, Iran's going to go fucking hot, fucking killing their people, you know, in fucking Tehran. I guess there were some other people that got killed, but you know, quite honestly, the way that people do business in this part of the world, if you're not the key figure, like, you don't really count. It's only really an insult insofar as you're connected to somebody who matters. So these people were connected to this Hamas guy, then yeah, they matter, okay, but, you know, that's kind of the way they do business. And I think the out they're going to give themselves is that, well, he wasn't actually Iranian. He's a Hamas guy, and he was hiding out here. And so they're going to just raise this thing, make a mean face, and then that's going to be the end of it. That's just what I think. I mean, obviously, I'd like to be fucking wrong. I seriously think, Like these Houthis, these are the serious players. These are the serious players at the table. Like, they don't have a lot to work with, but I think we have gotten to a point where, like, you know, people are just too fucking comfortable. But I'll get more into that later because I've got some thoughts on just kind of the general state of things, man. That, you know, more than I usually have. Just, you know, kind of stemming from this. But other than that, man, leading off, I wanted to... because I'm always doing it, man. I'm always doing a thing with the Macho Man thing. Oh, yeah! And it cracks me up because I used to watch that shit when I was a kid. Used to watch that pro wrestling shit, and it was hilarious, dude. Even when it's like the Easter Bunny, you know, when you're a little kid, you don't completely understand that it's fake. I mean, you know, after a while, that, like, man, especially, you know, after something like UFC comes out or all the YouTube or whatever, where you can watch people just get beat the shit down. And... you know, you watch this stuff and you're like, oh, okay, eventually you figure out this can't be real. But still, like, it's these interesting stories and these wacky characters and doing all this crazy stuff. And like, wow, man, it sure is fucking cool. And, yeah, I remember the Macho Man, yeah. And I remember, dude, when this guy came out, man, honestly, when he just came out, it was like, holy shit. Because I think before that, there was big dudes, right? Like, there was some big people. Like this Andre the Giant mutant motherfucker and like Hulk Hogan, who has basically been carved down to, you know, a Republican action figure. But at the time, I really think it was like, these are just big people. They're big people that eat big and they lift and they throw each other around. It's fucking wild, you know, good times. But I think this Macho Man, it was like the ushering in of the steroid era. Like some of these cats were clearly juicing. Right, like your Bret Hart and what, dude? There was a couple other dudes that, I mean, you just know, right? Like, these dudes are clearly on the shit. But this was like when somebody's really making a show of it, man. Like, I'm going whole fucking hog. And this dude, the Macho Man, came out, man, and this dude was juiced to his goddamn eyeballs. And he had veins going and just a big motherfucker. And you could tell when this guy talked, like, I know this is a character that you play. And this is, you know, it's acting and such. But, like, this motherfucker is feeling it, man. And he's fucking amped. And, you know, as long as we're talking about it, you know, as juice goes, I've said it on a few previous podcasts, man. I will say it again. Don't do that shit, man. Like, that shit will tear you up. I've seen takes from big lifting characters, and their takes are like, juice or don't juice, you're gonna regret it either way. Meaning that, like, if you don't juice, you're gonna lift hard, you're gonna eat hard, you're gonna sleep hard, and you're gonna still be like, fuck, man, I wish I had, you know, hit the juice a little bit and seen what I could really gain. But then cats who do juice are like, yeah, I fucked up my balls, I fucked up my endocrine system, I got bitch tits, I got roid rage and went to jail, whatever the fuck. You're going to regret that. So either way, you're going to fucking regret it. For my money, dude, I will say don't do it because I've seen enough cats go wrong on this shit. I saw a guy get a serious case of bitch tits. I did a cycle, dude, a very, very, very long time ago, well past any, what do you say, statute of limitations, man. I mean, it was a very long time ago. But I can tell you that the shit hits everybody different, man. And I had the roid rage like nothing you can imagine, dude. Otherworldly. I mean, I was like a future engineer. Like, legit, just staying awake, hating on people. Just a miserable son of a bitch. Other dudes got bitch tits. Other dudes get back knee. It's no good, dude. You get big, but, you know, at what price, man? So I would say don't do that shit, but you can definitely tell, you know, when you start talking about comparing some shit like creatine or, you know, fucking snake oil, any of the snake oil shit that you see advertised in any number of places, man, that, oh yeah, bro, this is a testosterone booster, bro, and you're gonna feel it, bro, and like, it is nothing like the real thing, man. The juice, when you're on that shit, like, you wake up every morning fucking jacked, fucking tighter than you were when you went to sleep. You got fucking abs. You got a pump like better than any pump you've ever had, getting a lift on, just natty. So I mean, that shit fucking works, but again, comes at a big fucking price. that I would recommend passing on. But looking at a dude, I do want to encourage dudes that, like, if you're getting your lift on, or you know, and you're trying to do everything right, do not fucking look at like Instagram model motherfuckers or dudes on any of these fucking products, anything that motherfuckers are selling, where they're like, you know, veins are fucking popping and this dude's fucking big and fucking tight, and you're like, fuck, I need to look, that's what I should look like. That's the reasonable look right there. That's not fucking natural, dude. I have met maybe 2 people in my whole fucking life that look like that in their prime, just lifting natty. All right, I knew a lot of dudes that fucking juiced, and even when I was like, when I was a lot younger, like in Southern California, dudes would do this shit where they would just drive to Mexico and juice up, or just bring the shit back, because like border control, like how tight is that? You know, prior to like 2000, nobody really gave a shit. You know, walk over there, walk back. Like you didn't really even need a passport. So like border control there, it was super fucking slack. So dudes would go over there and get dosed up, or they would what some dudes had said they would do, and I never did this shit. Like I never went to Mexico to get this shit, but dude said that like they would put it in a 7-Eleven cup and then just walk back across, and like at the time you didn't need a fucking passport or anything. They just ask you, are you a US citizen? You're like, yes. Like, yeah, come on. And you're cool. Like there's no x-ray, there's no metal detector, there's no nothing, man. You just cruise. So guys would just be able to walk in here with fucking, you know, whatever you want in a 7-Eleven cup. Even if you rattle it around, it doesn't matter because there's ice in there. Of course it's going to make noise. So guys were doing this shit. So even when I was like in high school, you would see dudes that were fucking cranked, but you still didn't quite get it through your head, because if you don't physically see them doing this shit, like you don't know for sure. You just think maybe this dude hit the genetic lottery. And, you know, how the fuck do you know? And you're thinking like, bro, I gotta put out harder. I just gotta eat better. I gotta sleep harder. I gotta lift harder. I gotta do this shit. But, you know, at the end of the day, a lot of times you're doing it like that, and all you're doing is burning yourself out, because you're lifting so fucking hard and you're putting out so fucking hard, and your body doesn't ever get a chance to recover. So you're not really making any gains, dude. Meanwhile, you know, the chemical monster over here is like, I don't know what big deal is, bro. No, I just eat right, bro. So what I'm getting at here is that don't look at like fucking models or even people. I mean, this Liver King guy, if you've ever heard of him, perfect fucking example. This fucking asshole, it's on Instagram. This fucking guy is on, I think he was on like YouTube and shit, talking about how he eats, you know, animal organs, and I go to the store and I shop specifically for, you know, grass-fed beef liver type shit, and that's why I'm fucking jacked as fuck. And the dude was jacked, like insanely jacked, like practical joke jacked, like seriously fucking jacked. Then you find out, yeah, the guy's also juiced out of his fucking mind. So, you know, who really gives a shit, right? It's fucking silly. So, you know, don't compare yourself to that shit. Think like long term. Think like a white man, dude, right? Like you're thinking long term. You're thinking decades. Like I'm working out now so I could look good now. Not fucking, you know, cover of a magazine good, but look good now. You're going to look good now. You're also going to look good 10 years from now, 20 years from now. That's what you're aiming for. So when these dudes that are juiced out of their fucking mind, yeah, you look fucking jacked and sweet today, dude, but 10 years from now, you're going to look like a fucking cancer patient. And really, I mean, you know, circle jerking back to the pro athlete type tip, dudes like Lyle Alzado was a dude that played for the Raiders in the 80s, and he was a fucking monster. And this was like back in the 80s when you'd see fucking fights and dudes that have each other by the face mask just beating the holy fuck out of each other. And you're like, fuck yeah, bro, and fucking Raider Nation, and like a bunch of fucking screwballs out there. But this dude died of cancer. And he went to his grave saying, yeah, dude, it's 1,000%. All the juice I was doing, all the crazy shit I was putting in my body just fucked me right up. And this dude died like weighing, I want to say like $140, $150, something like that. Like shrank up, man. I mean, going from a 200 plus pound, I think the guy was, I want to say he was a nose tackle, you know, going from a big boy down to like a manlet, you know, and then dying. That's quite a shot, dude. Like that's quite a price tag. So no day in the sun is worth it like that, you know, in my book. But yeah, dudes like that. There was another dude circling back again, you know, I guess to the pro wrestling tip. Early on, there was a dude that went by the name Mr. Wonderful, Paul Orndorff. And I remember this dude because it was such a fucking trip. Like, this was when I guess when I was a kid, like when I had ever very first taken notice of, you know, what pro wrestling is. Like, what is this shit, man? And this shit would come on Saturday mornings. And this was before cable TV, man. So you would just get on and dig this shit, wake up early before your folks, and you're like, fuck yeah, watch some cartoons, drink some chocolate milk, watch the cartoons, and now here comes pro wrestling, and these giant cranked up motherfuckers are going to throw each other into, like, you know, tables and chairs and walls and shit, and it's just wild. But the big to-do at the time was like, is it fake? Is it fixed? And it was just like, it wasn't as cartoonish as it has become, you know? So there was still this element of like, I don't know, dude, is it real? Is it fake? And there was this dude, Paul Orndorff, and he dressed like a regular guy, but like all these were just really, really intense personalities. And you could tell this guy was, you know, he was on something. I don't think, like, in the 70s and 80s, I know they had the juice, but it was not the refined product that they have now, man. It's not, you know, shredding motherfuckers up the way that it did at the time. But this dude, you know, I think it was Geraldo Rivera. Yeah. And there was an interview of it, dude. I got to see if I could find it, man. It's good shit. And he's like, hey, we just, you know, the viewers have a question. Is pro wrestling fixed? And this dude is like, and I think he's just coming off of, you know, some match or heading out to a match or some shit. And he's like, what would you say to me? And he's like, come here, look at this. And he's like, zap. And he smacks this guy. And he's like, that's an open hand slap. I feel fake to you. And he's like, and he just fucking falls out. I mean, you know, I think it was, dude, I could be totally wrong, man. It was, I want to say it was Geraldo Rivera. It could also have been, who was that dude? David Horowitz. There's this guy, David Horowitz, and he was always like Mr. Consumer, like, I'm exposing the fakes. Oh, God. You know, so of course, Mr. Horowitz is going to expose these fake-o products and steer you towards some other shit. But it was one of these characters, man. And, yeah, but either way, it was this, you know, regular attempting to be straight journalist and got in the face of one of these cranked up fucking monsters in a Speedo. It's like, hey, is this shit rigged? Hey, check this out. Zap! And put the wood to this fucking guy. And the dude folded like a fucking lawn chair. It was fantastic. But, yeah, moving along, man. The Macho Man, the man who is macho, Randy Savage. I had to look into this cat, man, because I didn't, you know, what do I know? I'm always fucking, I'll always do that, yeah, fucking thing. But I didn't know that much about him, so I had to look the guy up. So this dude was born in 52. Like, it's like a while back, man. The guy's not spry. He's born in 52. He actually, unlike a lot of guys, didn't start out doing like just straight bodybuilding or doing, what do you call it, pro football or college football or this. The dude came up through baseball, of all fucking things. And apparently, the guy did a minor league contract through the Cardinals organization. And I guess he was looking at playing pro ball, but I think fucked up his shoulder or some kind of a thing. So he got shoulder surgery and then started looking at, somehow or other, got steered into pro wrestling. I don't know, maybe they put him on some steroids to heal his shoulder up or whatever, and then he, you know, just developed his persona. But anyway, yeah, Randy Mario Paffa. Yeah. Yeah. And here's the downer, though. The downer is his dad was Italian, as the name suggests, and his mother was Jewish, right? So what are you going to do? Born for the stage, right? Born for the stage. Yeah. Going to go out here and make my shekels. But, yeah, so the dude was clearly on the juice. His, I guess, manager, well, here's the hilarious part, right, is that this dude was out of Florida. So, like, your prototypical Florida man. And he would come out, like, his walkout music was that Pomp and Circumstance shit. Like when you're graduating high school, which is hilarious to me because it sort of gives you the impression that, like, this is the only time this motherfucker ever walked to this music because he's a silly ass, you know, Florida man, and he talks like a, like a dope, and he does what he does, whatever. But yeah, the guy, his Bunny Ears manager for the stage and apparently in real life was this woman, Elizabeth something, so I'm guessing Elizabeth Poffo, but went by Miss Elizabeth for her, wrestling character. But she was just kind of the shy, off to the side, a retiring, wallflower, a shy violet sort of a thing. And I guess she was this dude's wife in real life. But apparently there was some kind of beef, and I don't want to get too in the weeds with this kind of shit, but it does sort of go to the real life thing, where this dude was roid raging at some point, and I guess he had a coke issue. I don't know that for sure. This is what I saw somewhere. I was looking at this a while ago. I'm not accusing the guy of being a fucking cokehead or any. This is just what I see, and it does sort of, it does align nicely with the Macho Man that we all know and love. I guess there was some issue where, like, he had either gave her a fucking smack or scared the shit out of her, so she hauls ass to fucking Hulk Hogan's house and hid out there. And I don't know, it was some kind of a thing of like, hey brother, can't have you in here, man, not like this, bro. I'm not completely sure what to think of all that. I don't know how comfortable I'd be getting in the middle of some shit like that. Like, you knew, I think, what you were getting into when you signed up for this shit. Like, don't drag me into your fucking soap opera. I don't know. But, it kind of sucks, dude, because actually, bearing that in mind, between that and the old N-word scandal with poor old Hulkster, and then, getting his wife leaving him and his daughter doing him wrong, and then getting drug out there to sing and dance for the fucking Republican Party. I mean, I almost feel like he's like the perfect boomer who just got crushed under the fucking wheels, man. It's like, hey, you're like this well-meaning guy, like in any other era. Like roll the clock back like 10 years, 20 years, where he was at his prime, maybe for like wrestling in the 60s or some shit. And Joe Lunchbox could come home from work and catch him on the TV. And then probably, he'd retire and start an orphanage or a fund for, wayward spinsters or some shit. I don't know. But it seems like he's just the boomer that got caught in the gears. Caught in the gears of the big kosher machine. But anyway, circling back to the Macho Man yet again, this dude died in 2011 of heart-related issues, which, it's listed as like atherosclerosis. But, I don't know if the guy smoked, which is what, smoking or drinking, what you'd usually associate with atherosclerosis. I'm going to go out on a limb that it's probably more a combination of the juice and the coke hitting you real hard all at once. And I say that because I know a guy that went that way, a guy that I used to work with. I never actually deployed with the guy. And I'll tell you this, like in the Spec Ops community, there's always a connotation of, well, I didn't work with him. So like if you never actually deployed or you were never in a unit with a guy, it's usually guys will say like, I didn't work with him, I didn't deploy with him. So this guy, I didn't deploy with the guy. I did work closely with him for a while. And what I saw was like, and I've seen this a few different times, where like in the military they do have their own athletic programs. So like there is an Army, a Navy, a Marine Corps wrestling team, like a national team. There's, triathlon teams, there's swimming teams, there's all this shit. And they have this. So you can get detailed to this thing where like, what do you do for, the Army? Oh, I play on the soccer team. And that's like your job, which not a bad fucking gig if you can get it. But what I noticed was like, some cats like this guy where like you're in your 20s, you're in phenomenal fucking shape. You start getting it in your head that, man, I could actually probably compete at or around an international professional type level. Maybe I take a little bump, man. Maybe I hit the juice just a little bit. Because in the military, they got to test you specifically for that. So like performance enhancing drugs, and I don't know that if, in any of these athletic endeavors, if they do test specifically for that, but I know regularly in the military, like you'll get piss tested for coke or weed or what the fuck ever. but you won't get tested for juice unless there's a specific suspicion. And I think generally, if it's not a problem, from what I've seen, if there's not a problem, they're going to turn a blind eye to it because they're like, big fucking deal, the guy is stronger and runs faster. I'm not going to fuck with that. I'm going to leave it as it is. So unless there's a problem, they're just going to leave you to it. So a guy like this, you see this where like, bro, I could probably compete. I could beat some of these motherfuckers, at an international level. I'll just hit this juice a little bit. But you're also a young dude in your early mid-20s. You're getting paid exclusively to do this shit. Especially in the spec ops scene, you've got this prestige where you go somewhere and you're like, well, I'm part of this unit, but I also am basically a pro athlete because I do this sport. So you're going to have, I ain't going to lie, dude, you're going to have some women throwing panties your way. You're going to get, invited to the cool parties, right? And I saw more than a few dudes go this direction, man. I know at least 3 guys that get out there on deployment or on trips or just back at the ranch. And there'll be, there's the strippers out there. And man, these strippers are, it's worse than a VC booby trap, dude. Like, you don't watch your step, the next thing you know, like, you're out there snow skiing. And I know a couple dudes that, like, Monday comes and they're like, all right, random piss test today. Anybody's social ends in this, or this. Come on in here. And I'll tell you, for some reason, I always got called. And dude, that was like, the drug shit was never my thing, man. Never my thing. But somehow I always got called in. And I think they were hoping maybe they'd get rid of me. But I saw more than a few guys get called in. And you'd see it on their face, man, when they're going up there. And they're like, oh, shit. And what was bizarre was like, you're almost so indoctrinated that you don't fucking appreciate that you can actually just haul ass. If you're like, dude, I did coke on Saturday night and now it's Monday and the standard window for this is like 3 to 5 days. Like, if you get pinched on this, you're gonna pop within 3 to 5 days. You could just be like, I'm fucking out, and just bolt. And like, I ain't coming back to work for 3 or 4 days at least. So I got time to get clean. You're going to get back and you're going to get in trouble for being gone without leave. Like, you can't just run off like that. Yeah, you're going to get in trouble, but you know what you're not going to get? You're not going to get kicked out for being tuned up on coke. All right? Now, granted, like, if you got a coke issue, you got bigger fucking problems than just losing your job. You're going to get fucked up. But it was a trip that, like, guys, I never saw anybody take advantage of this. And dudes that weren't, this was just some shit that, how can I say? Guys would talk about this shit once in a while, like the assorted and various loopholes to, get over on whatever rules were out there. And the thing was, like, you can be, gone. You can be absent without leave or unauthorized absence or however you want to say it. You can just be gone for up to 60 days. At 60 days, it becomes desertion. And now it's a hanging offense. But prior to that, you could just cruise. If somehow you fucked up, like, let's just say that you went out with the nicest, sweetest girl you ever met in your life, and you were just hanging out, and the next thing you know, her and her 4 friends are toking it up, and you're sitting in this car, and all this fucking weed is just rolling, and you're just sure, man, if you get tested, you're gonna fucking pop. And you can't just jump out of the car on the freeway, right? So you go to work, and before you get a chance to say, hey, I had something happen this weekend that I need to talk to somebody about, suddenly they're like, hey, if your social ends in this, or this, come in here, you're getting piss tested. Fuck. Now you're in a bad fucking way. But you can just haul ass, just run off down the road, come back in a month, dude. It's gonna be the same penalty as it would be technically if you were like 3 or 4 hours late. They can decide how to punish you on this, but what you can't do is walk in there and pop for fucking drugs, because now you're just going to go away. You're going to lose your job. You're going to lose all that time and effort you put in, and you're going to be a very sad, unhappy person. So, the choice is yours on that, but you never see guys take advantage of it, which is weird. But back to this dude, though. I knew this dude. And he was this heavy-hitting track and field guy. Dude could run like a fucking deer. I'll tell you something, man. when you have a chance to get around somebody that's really good at something, you know, especially something you could see like athletics wise or some kind of shit, it is a fucking trip to like really see somebody that is really good at some shit. Because I mean, I've got, you know, to a point, you know, not now, but previously, you know, in my previous life, where I was in real good fucking shape, where I could do some pull-ups, I could do some fucking push-ups, I could run, I could swim, all this shit. But when you see somebody that's no shit gifted at this shit, and they're passing 20 pull-ups headed for 30, and they're hitting 30 and starting to look tired, and you're like, fuck, dude. You know, you're seeing somebody run, and they're just like, poof, like you, like, it's like they're not even trying, and they're just moving right past you, and you're like, damn, dude. Like, when you see this shit, you're like, it's really something to behold. And this dude, you know, is like really physically gifted, dude, and then hits the juice, and he's even harder, but now starts in on the party scene, and holy shit, down the road he goes, dude. And that guy, he got, this guy I'm talking about, he got pinched with a baggie of crack, I guess. And the cops saw him buying this shit. So he had started hanging out with these strippers. His wife found out about it. She shit-canned him. And he just went full tilt, you know, down the stripper avenue. And he got spotted by some cops. I don't know, undercover or some shit or what. I don't fucking know. But they pulled him over after he bought some fucking crack. And this guy just gutted it. And like just swallowed it all, I guess. And I guess his thinking was like, maybe I OD, maybe I don't. Better to fucking OD than to get pinched and lose my job and all this shit. So the cops roll him up. They pull his wallet, and they're like, oh, you're in the military. All right, well, we'll just make it a whole lot worse on you. So they take him back to the base, and they're like, yeah, we saw this asshole buying, found the empty baggie. We think he must have just gutted it all. So if you want to go ahead and test him, you can deal with him. We're done with him. You know, after you sentence him, then you can send him to us, and we'll deal with him after that. But the guy his body just disintegrated, you know, like shortly after that, I guess. And I guess the guy came down with some form of cancer and just fucking, boom, just done. Just burning it at both ends, and out you fucking go. But, I mean, I guess really the takeaway there is like as much as us in our thing, we try to hammer on like, you got to do more, you got to be more, you got to try a little bit harder. I would also say, like, you got to look a little longer term. And if looking longer term means you got to not focus and grind so fucking hard that it eats you up, and you start thinking of like, bro, I can't do much more. I got to find some kind of an angle, some kind of a shortcut, some kind of a way to be more efficient, some way to make the fucking pain just subside a little bit because I'm fucking miserable. You need to take a fucking wrap off then, man. Because what we're looking for, dude, is like, we need motherfuckers. We need you. We need you here in 20 years. I mean, we need you here now, but we also need you here 20 years from now, man. So I need your ass alive. I need your ass alive and thinking and handing out bright ideas and setting examples and telling your kids and your grandkids the shit they ought to do. And you can't be sacrificing that shit for like, yeah, I just want to look good for a couple weeks at the club. I just want to bang a few hot strippers a few times once in a while, you know, at the after party, and then die of cancer 2 years later. Fuck that, man. That is some short-sighted, weak-ass shit, and you're better than that shit. And the perfect example of that is something that I had just seen, follow-up to the Meredith Hunter extravaganza that I talked about like just on the last episode with the Altamont Speedway free concert. That shining hustler in the green suit with the big afro that whipped out his 22 with his hot blonde girlfriend by his side. It has come to my attention because I went and looked afterward. Like, I wanted to really see like whatever happened to this woman, this Patty Breedhoff, right, that was his girlfriend. And if you're just listening to this, what I'm talking about here is the Altamont Speedway concert in 1969, where it's what everybody's calling the darkest days of rock and roll, the end of the 60s, when this young soul brother, Meredith Hunter, got shanked by Hell's Angels that were working security for this gig while the Rolling Stones were on stage. And as it turns out, like the thick plottings, right? So I tried to look and find out like whatever became of this woman. I saw a few different articles by a few different bleeding heart types, And pretty much it skims over like the where is she now type thing. There was like one short interview that interacted with her like in 2019, I want to say. But it was basically her just kind of chugging on this hustler, talking about, he was so cool and he just glided, between the crowd and everybody just loved him and da-da-da-da-da-da. So I don't know if that means that like she went on to marry a decent white man and have a decent white family, and that's why, the where is she now portion is pretty much non-existent. But what has come to light in addition to this, is that at the time of this concert, all right, this free concert, that this chick was still in high school. This chick was a senior in high school, and this Meredith Hunter kid in 1969, he was in college. So this guy was in college, she was in high school. He went and picked her up in a borrowed car, bunny ears borrowed, allegedly borrowed from he aunt or some kind of thing, because he didn't have a dad, of course. But he was also tuned up on meth. All right, so in the autopsy, he's tuned up on meth. He's driving somebody else's car, and he's got some high school girl at this concert with the Rolling Stones on stage, Hell's Angels standing security, armed with pool cues, knives, and motorcycle chains. What the fuck is going on at the Breedhoff house where you let this shit slide? All right? The guy shows up to pick up your daughter, tuned up on meth, carrying a pistol with a giant afro, wearing a green suit. Now is the time to just say no, okay? I mean, I don't know. I can't try to speculate on what was or wasn't going on at that house. I don't know if she snuck out the window. I don't know if her father threatened her with grievous bodily harm and she went and left anyway. But I would hope to Christ that, maybe after this she learned her lesson. Because I feel pretty sure if she had, a couple little Cheerio children, that they would have flashed that 1,000%, like in memory. Like one of them would be named Hunter and the other one would be named like Lime Green or some kind of shit. But, that wasn't the case. So I'm going to hope and speculate that things turned out for the best for this young dum-dum. Anyway, I'm going to go into the airport. If you haven't guessed, man, that's where I am because it's where I always am. But I will tell you this, dude, having been right last time, I'm really curious to see where this goes from here, because I think this was just smooth enough, honestly, on Israel's part, this most recent incursion, that they could pass it off as not something to get so pissed about, because, yeah, it was Tehran, but it wasn't an Iranian, so why you so mad, bro? So again, just enough to hopefully provoke Iran into striking or provoke Hezbollah to strike and hopefully pull the U.S. in. For my money, it's an ideal time for the U.S. to get sucked in because we're completely devoid of leadership, and who's going to take charge of this shit circus is pretty much anybody's guess, and each choice is arguably worse than the next. So I don't know, man. But until next time, dude, you can catch me if you're listening via normie pathways here. You can catch me on the Telegram at t/me the abuse hour, or you can catch me on the gram at niceguy.coffee, or on Twitter at coffeelong14. I can't believe I'm still on there, but somehow I am. But that's all I have for now, man. I'm going to go stand in line, get my ass looked in. So until next time, keep your eyes on the horizon. Keep your neck out of the noose. I have been Coffee. These are my takes.